It's just unreal the amount of gaslighting this administration is doing. I mean, it is a fact. The difference between passing this bill and not passing this bill is the addition of $3 trillion to the national debt. And that's not me saying that. That's the credit rating agencies that impact our entire economy. Moody's just downgraded the United States credit. They didn't do that under Joe Biden. They did that under Donald Trump because they look at this bill. They look at the attack on the middle class and the diminution in spending power that will come with it for the middle class and the deficits. And they say that if implemented, this bill is going to make the American economy much weaker. So this bill is what it is. It is just an attempt to enrich Donald Trump's billionaire class, all his Mar-a-Lago friends, his corporate friends, at the expense of ordinary Americans. And they should just tell the truth about it. I think everybody in that audience knows that they're going to die. They would just rather die in old age at 85 or 90 instead of dying at 40. And the reality is that when you lose your health care, you are much more at risk of early death. And when rural hospitals close because of this bill, when drug treatment clinics close in Iowa and rural America because of this bill, more people will die at a younger age. So the reality is this bill is about life and death. And for what? I mean, I guess that's the problem here for many of us, is that they're cutting Medicaid, throwing 15 million people off their health care in order to fund a tax cut for the super wealthy and for corporations. That is just fundamentally immoral. It's immoral and it's unethical. I don't understand why they're doing it, except that Donald Trump only really knows billionaires. He only knows corporate CEOs. And so his instructions to Republicans are reward them, help them, and no one else. I wish Joni and others saw the immorality of what they're doing.
I do want to ask on a different topic about the president and the fact that he hosted a private dinner for top investors of his cryptocurrency last month. I know you've been very outspoken about the president's use of his meme coin, calling it corruption on steroids and more. But I want to talk about the consequence of Congress really not legislating regulations about this crypto and so many other issues. Is there some, I'm not saying that Congress is culpable for what the president is doing, but on issues like this, does there need to be regulation?
Absolutely. And we have a chance right now in the United States Senate to stop the president's corruption. Not coincidentally, we are debating in the Senate a bill to regulate cryptocurrency. In fact, one of the very cryptocurrencies that Donald Trump is issuing as part of his corruption scheme. The problem is the existing version of that bill exempts the president from the ethics requirements. It says that it's unethical for me to issue or market a stablecoin, but it's okay for the president to do it. That's not something any Democrat should vote for. We have a chance to demand, to amend that bill before final passage, to make sure that the president is treated just like every other member of Congress, just like every other member of his administration. So yes, if Congress passes a bill in the next few weeks that exempts the president of the United States from the ethics requirements around the issuance of cryptocurrency, then yes, we will have no one to blame but ourselves for this, at least this specific kind of corruption. So we have a chance to get this right in the United States Senate this coming week, and I hope the Democrats and Republicans can stand up and say it's just not right for the president to essentially be asking for people, including foreigners, to put money in his pocket in order to get them access to the White House. That is not okay for a member of Congress, for a mayor. It's not okay for a president.
Okay.
You know, Medicaid, though, there's a lot of confusion that the Democrats have lied about. They went out there, Joe, and said that, you know, we're cutting Medicaid benefits. We're not cutting Medicaid benefits.
No one believes that. Senator, no one serious believes that.
Senator, how much do you focus on what might be described as the bond vigilantes? This idea that the bond market is a little nervous, maybe a lot nervous, about what this bill may do to the long-run fiscal situation and economic situation in the country longer term.
Well, Speculation is what always drives the market. We know this. And in fact, I think the bond market is going to respond well once this bill is passed because it brings certainty, right? It brings certainty to the tax code. It's going to bring.
Even an Elon Musk would say, I mean, he said it on TV, not happy.
Well, I would disagree with Elon in the sense that he doesn't understand how the tax bill works. Again, look at the statistics from 2017, right? Higher wages, lowest unemployment, 6.5 million people moved out of poverty. And think about the provisions we have in here, 199A, bonus depreciation, estate tax, R&D tax credit. This is going to be rocket fuel for the economy.
If you get 3%.
The other reason why we're seeing some pushback is because of the Medicaid cuts that were passed by the House and that are going to go into the Senate. There was a town hall, which I'm sure you saw. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst was asked, it was pretty raucous, about the Medicaid cuts. And she responded by saying, people were saying that people are going to die. And she said, we're all going to die. But the question that she was getting from constituents were concerns about Medicaid, food stamps, and other government support programs leading to people dying and premature deaths. What do you say to those concerns?
I think they're totally ridiculous. This is AstroTurf. This bill will preserve and protect the programs, the social safety net, but it will make it much more common sense. Look, 1 out of every $5 or $6 in Medicaid is improper. We have illegal immigrants on the program. We have able-bodied working adults that don't have a work requirement that they would have in TANF or even SNAP. And those are something that's very important to institute. That's what this bill does. No one will lose coverage as a result of this bill. That's not what Josh Hawley, who is not exactly a liberal Democrat, said. He said it's wrong to cut health care for the working poor, and that's what we're talking about here with Medicaid. Well, we continue to work with people in the Senate as to working them through with the specifics of the bill, what it does and what it doesn't do. We'll continue to do that, and I think at the end of the day, the Senate will have a resounding vote in favor of a substantially similar bill. Before I let you...
So I don't know if you know these statistics, but for 88% of American kids, their parents have said no to the COVID shot last season. So the vast majority of Americans are saying no. Maybe they want to see some clinical data as well. Maybe they have concerns about the safety.
I don't want to crowdsource my health guidance. I want a clear thing, right? You don't go with popularity. You go with, as you're saying, data. And when we
so let's see the data.
Okay, so the CDC data said 41% of children aged 6 months to 17 years hospitalized with COVID between 2022 and 2024 did not have a known underlying condition. In other words, they looked healthy. And COVID was serious for them.
So, first of all, we know the CDC data is contaminated with a lot of false positives from incidental positive COVID tests with routine testing of every kid that walks in the hospital. When I go to the ICU, when I walk to we know that data historically under the Biden administration did not distinguish being sick from COVID or an incidental positive COVID test. When you go to an ICU in America and you ask how many people are in the ICU that are healthy, that are sick with COVID, the answer I get again and again is we haven't seen that in a year or years. And so the worst thing you can do in public health is to put out an absolute universal recommendation in young, healthy kids. And the vast majority of Americans are saying, no, we want to see some data. And you say, forget about the data, just get it anyway.
Okay, so on data and transparency. For decades, since 1964, it was the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP, that went through this panel recommendation. I mean, people watched these things during COVID. The report was then handed up. It offered debate, it offered transparency, and it offered data points that people could refer back to. Why did you bypass all of this and just come down with a decision before the panel could meet and make that data?
That panel has been a kangaroo court where they just rubber stamp every single vaccine put in front of them. If you look at the minutes of the report from, they even say we generally want to move towards a risk stratified approach.
So why not let them do that in June?
So in the meantime, we don't want an absolute recommendation for healthy kids to get it. They can do it, and that committee will meet and make recommendations, but you look.
You know, in about 2 weeks.
Is Ukraine doing enough to get this?
I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now. Keep saying 2 weeks about President Putin. What is 2 weeks? Give us what is the actual date? What is the timeline? 2 weeks or less, and if it's a little more.
2 weeks. Now we're still 2 weeks away.
2 weeks to Never, I think, spells never. Let me try not to be too sarcastic. Troops, gather around, because I've got something to reveal to you. You may have noticed. Anyway, let's talk about the hottest trend in Washington. No, not the latest TikTok dance, but the phrase that, how should we say, sweeping the nation in 2 weeks. Yes, that's right. The Trump administration's favorite unit of time is 2 weeks. It's like their version of, how should we say, abracadabra, except instead of magic, nothing ever happens. Can I jog your memory? Remember when they said the new healthcare plan would be unveiled in 2 weeks? That was 2017. We're still waiting. Trump's tax returns, 2 weeks. I'm starting to think 2 weeks is just code for never gonna happen. It's like when your friend says they'll pay you back in 2 weeks. Spoiler alert, they won't. And it's not just healthcare. Infrastructure, 2 weeks. Immigration reform, 2 weeks. Peace in the Middle East, give it, yeah, guessed it, 2 weeks. Straight-faced, Doughty. At this point, I'm convinced that if you ask them when the world will end, they'll just say, in 2 weeks' time. Look, I'm an outsider looking in, but here's the kicker. The American media laps it up, and social media, CNN, Fox News, X, whatever, they report it like it's gospel. Sources say the plan will be revealed in 2 weeks. Sources? What sources? A magic 8-ball? A fortune cookie? And let's not forget the cabinet. It is really like a reality show. Next week on The Tremendous Apprentice, Cabinet Edition. Who will be fired? Who will be hired? Tune in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It's a suspense that keeps us going.
Have you brought any fruits or vegetables onto the planet? 2 weeks.
I mean, even Elon Musk left the administration complete with a black eye. Probably because he realised that in 2 weeks, he'd still be waiting for a meeting that was scheduled 2 weeks ago.
Excuse me? 2 weeks.
You get my drift. Everything takes like 2 weeks. So to sum it up, if you're waiting for something from the Trump administration, just remember, it's always 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, 14 days, 2 weeks away. And if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you in 2 weeks' time. Oh, what is that flying over? You don't see it? It's taken 2 weeks to come. Eventually, if we wait 2 weeks, a huge pink pig will fly over. Yes. In 2 weeks. Did that sound sarcastic?
So you know that these two federal courts have so far said the use of that law and those emergency powers not proper. It is on appeal, so we'll see what the potentially Supreme Court has to say about it. But in the meantime, it sparks this question about whether if other countries think that our court system's potentially going to shut down these bigger, more sweeping tariffs, you're losing some kind of advantage in negotiations. Reuters quotes an EU official saying this, quote, "The uncertainty as to the legality of the reciprocal tariffs certainly gives us," meaning them, extra leverage. Here is how Jonathan Turley put it.
Trump has been using these tariffs like a gun to the head of these other countries, and the court just removed the bullets.
So have you lost leverage, and where are we on the talks with the EU?
All right, so the president said he was going to put a 50% tariff on the EU. And as I said, not only does he have this authority under IEEPA, but he has many, many other authorities. The European Union sent in after this their first offer. So they are at the table. They are negotiating. You can't listen to silly people making silly comments. All of the countries that are negotiating with us understand the power of Donald Trump and his ability to protect the American worker. And so what they're doing is they're negotiating with us. I think it cost us a week, maybe cost us a week, but then everybody came right back to the table. Everybody's talking to us. You're going to see over the next couple of weeks really first-class deals for the American worker, opening their markets and setting on tariffs to make sure that we are treated fairly around the world.
You trust President Putin? You know, in about 2 weeks.
Is Ukraine doing enough to get this
to get this?
I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now. You keep saying 2 weeks about President Putin. What is 2 weeks? Give us, what is the actual date? What is the timeline?
2 weeks or less, and if it's a little more at the time, I say, but, you know, they're losing a lot of people.
You see those little dates up at the top, April 27th, May 19th. Today is May 28th. So 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Now we're still 2 weeks away.
Keep saying 2 weeks about President Putin. What is 2 weeks? Give us, what is the actual date? What is the timeline?
2 weeks or less, and if it's a little more at the time, I say, but, you know, they're losing a lot of people. We have...
On Russia, Mr. President, do you believe the Russians are being disrespectful when they say that your criticisms of Putin are simply an emotional response? And do you still believe that Putin actually wants to end the war?
I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon. We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not. And if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently, but it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We have Mr. Witkoff is here, who's doing a phenomenal job, is dealing with them very strongly right now. They seem to want to do something, but until the document is signed, I can't tell you. Nobody can.
President
I can say this. I can say this, that I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed by that. Very, very disappointed. Yeah, please.
Go ahead, what? India's coming along great. I think we'll have a deal with India. The Prime Minister, as you know, was here 3 weeks ago, and they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens. Thank you. Thank you.